From the station that made country music famous, 650 AM WSM, this is a Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Hi, it's Charlie Manos, and in this episode, we sit down with Grand Ole Opry star Jeannie Seely. This was recorded July the 6th of 2020. It was Seely's 80th birthday, and she would join us in studio to celebrate on Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Coffee, Country, and Cody on WSM.
I have this recurring dream that I'm quarantined with Jeannie Seely in the WSM studio at the Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center. You ever have that feeling, Charlie?
I think it's come true, yes.
Yeah. And it's her 80th birthday.
Yes. You know, this is a little history in the making, because the last person to sit in that chair in our studio would have been Jimmy Fortune on March the 12th. Before the last Opry show with a crowd, and that was Opry Country Classics. And we have not had an in-studio guest since.
We actually had a Circle Sessions taping in here.
But that wasn't on television.
That's right. It wasn't on radio. Right. It was just on television on Circle. And your neighbor, Carly Pierce, sat where you were sitting this morning.
I got a call from her this morning. Or
Did you?
Text from her this morning.
Tell them who you talked to before you walked in.
Oh.
Who called you?
Our boss man. The big boss man.
Oh, big boss man.
By the way, can you see this so I can take it off now? I want everybody to see it before
the television audience, she is wearing a Don't Touch Me mask.
What a perfect single.
Because this has become a cottage industry.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Good job, Jeannie.
Our big boss man, Colin Reed, I had just reached for my phone to cut it off to come in here, you know. And I'm glad I hadn't cut the phone off yet. But he called me to wish me happy birthday, and he was just so complimentary, telling me how much I meant to the Opry and everything. And I said, well, thank you, Colin. That's nice. But, you know, that does not get you out of buying me lunch. So he said, as soon as we can get out of the mask, we'll do it.
In true Seely fashion. I knew she was going to come with something. In 1965, so the television article that featured you in your 80th birthday, you were like, Charlie Maddles was saying, man, she was the portfolio in the Tennessean.
Oh, it was a great feature article. Yeah, it was terrific.
Something?
Yeah.
I'm just absolutely blown away and just so thrilled. We were hoping for something in there, but boy.
Well, Matthew Limekuhler, he wrote that article, and I know he spoke with me, and I was quoted in the article.
Yes,
I don't know who else he talked to. In 1965, with a $50 bill and a Ford Falcon to her name, Seely packed her bags after a brief stint in Los Angeles. And at the urging of West, meaning Dottie West, and songwriter Hank Cochran, moved to Nashville. And 54 years ago, for Don't Touch Me, which is represented on your mask, for the radio audience who couldn't see it.
Yeah. You know, it's just so hard for me to believe that years have just tumbled by. I still feel like the new kid in town.
Did you not work at a bank in Beverly Hills when you were in Los Angeles?
I did. When I got out of school, I couldn't afford to go to college, and we didn't have anything like community colleges or anything in rural Pennsylvania where I grew up. But I got a job at the bank in Titusville, and they told me about American Institute of Banking courses I could take at night, which were free if you worked at the bank. So it was either 7 or 9 of those courses that I took, you know, in business administration, principles, and all things that I have used in my career.
I was going to ask you if you found that came in handy once you started having success.
Yes, I did. And so when I decided to move to California, I had a letter of recommendation from the president of our bank. I had started out as a stenographer. Then I moved to the auditor's secretary. Then I was secretary to the vice president at 21 when I left. So, and I got a job at Union Bank in Beverly Hills, right on the corner of Wilshire Boulevard, Beverly Drive. I couldn't even afford to look in the windows.
So is that the one that had all the gold in California?
I think so, yeah.
Who do you remember as some of the famous clients? Anybody come to mind?
Oh, the most famous one was the actress Gloria Graham.
Oh, yeah.
She used to come in. She had an ocelot. And she would come in the bank with an ocelot coat on, with that ocelot on a leash. And I remember saying, is that allowed? Can you bring that? And they said, who's going to tell her no? And so I set my sights right there. I want to be like Gloria Graham. So who's going to tell her no?
Well, I know somebody you wanted to be like when you got to Nashville in your Ford Falcon, and that was Jean Shepherd.
Oh,
a lot of people don't know how special she was to you as a youngster. I remember you tell this wonderful story. I hope you'll share it this morning about seeing her in your hometown.
Right. I saw her. I must have been maybe 13. I don't know if I was that old, but anyway, probably about that. And at Hillbilly Park in Franklin, Pennsylvania, and I was so thrilled. She and Hawkshaw were there, and after the show, they were selling pictures out of the trunk of the car, and so I had my little 50 cents, and I waited in line. I just knew what I was going to say to her when I got up there. And when I got up to her, I just looked at her, and I couldn't say a word. And I'm just looking at her, and I handed her the picture, and she said, "Did you want me to sign that?" And I went, "Yeah." I just shook my head.
Nodded your head.
I couldn't say. And she kind of chuckled, that Jean Shepherd chuckle. And she handed it back to me and said, "Thank you." And then she said, later she said she remembered me. She said, "I knew you were going to be a singer. You can tell." And she said, "You'll be able to tell." And I can. When these young girls come up now, because they just look at you different. They look at me just like I looked at Jean, like I want to capture everything.
Well, you must have seen it in Carly Pierce.
Oh, yes.
Because her first time to visit backstage was at your invitation.
Well, yeah, but I was familiar with Carly way back to Dollywood and then on through Country Tonight. I've watched her career build. I am so proud of her. Just so proud. And anybody that thinks that she was an overnight success, I just wish they could know and appreciate like I do the efforts of hard work like she's done has paid off.
Well, you've got new music coming out. Jeannie Seely, if you just joined us, as you listen all over the world, as you watch this morning, you're watching on Circle Television, an American classic, and it includes a Willie Nelson duet. Yeah. Set this up for me, and we actually just passed a one-year anniversary, you said.
Yes, where's that camera? I want to show that.
Oh, okay. There you go. There it is from the Honeysuckle Rose movie. Yeah. You were in the movie.
Everybody see me all right.
A nod to Johnny Russell.
Yeah, and this is my jacket from touring with Willie back in 81, some 82, somewhere in there. I was privileged to open some fair dates for Willie Nelson and had such a wonderful time, got a great education.
So, Not a Dry Eye in the House is we're about to hear and see the world premiere.
Yes, absolutely. This is a song that Dallas Wayne, my other buddy at Willie's Roadhouse, wrote and recorded, and I loved the song so much. And when we were trying to think what to do with Willie, I thought this is just a natural. And Dallas just knocked me out. When he heard it, he said, it sounds like an intimate conversation between two old friends. Is that not a nice thing to picture? And I guess that's about what it is. But actually, what we did, we recorded the song here at Ocean Way. Don Cusick, by the way, my newest hero for doing this whole project with me. And then we sent the track, Buddy Cannon sent the track to Willie. He said, he'll do it. We don't know where. It might be at his ranch, might be on his bus, could be in Hawaii, but he'll do it. And he did it in Texas the day after his 4th of July picnic last year.
1 year and 1 day ago.
Yes.
Willie Nelson, special guest of Jeannie Seely, and the new album, an American classic, Not a Dry Eye, goes just like this.
There's not a dry eye
Our special guest on her 80th birthday today, Jeannie Seely, is here. Pre-order, pre-save the new album, An American Classic. When will the full album be out?
August 14th.
Okay, August 14th.
Yeah.
Not a Dry Eye in the House. Dallas Wayne song from Jeannie Seely, Willie Nelson. And his favorite guitar, Trigger, actually made a guest appearance on there, too.
Yes, I was so thrilled. My love, teach me tonight. Teach me tonight.
Mr. and Ms. Matos, your table is ready here at the Algonquin, featuring Jeannie Seely.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
The Algonquin.
I'd have to dress up, I think.
You would have to dress up.
Yeah.
Yes, because I would be in a gown.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You, Mr. Matos, could puff majestically, like the old. Take it back.
Well, that'd
to
be
the
worth
50s.
dressing up for, just to puff majestically.
In a gabardine suit. With your ascot.
Yes.
Oh, that puts you where you need to be. Jeannie Seely, it's off the brand new album, An American Classic, which you can pre-order, pre-save at Jeannie's website. The lead single we heard, the world premiere on WSM's Coffee, Country, and Cody a little earlier of Not a Dry Eye in the House with Willie Nelson.
And I think if you pre-order or pre-save, you get the Willie cut right away.
Right
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Instant gratification.
And when they go to your website, something I want you to talk about before we finish this morning, Music Health Alliance in Nashville.
Yes.
And you have been asking people to help.
I did. I chose that as my birthday fundraiser this year because I don't think there's ever been a year where there's more need for the music industry than this year. And Music Health Alliance does so many things. I mean, they teach you, they'll help you walk through insurance. I mean, who understands insurance unless you work with it all the time? And about the time you learn, they change it anyway. So they do all those kind of things. They're a wonderful organization. And so I hope people will remember me with the donation there because I don't need anything. I got Coffee, Country, and Cody and Willie Nelson. So what else could a girl ask for? And a husband who pressure washes.
Good morning, Gene. If Gene Ward is over there
80
listening.
roses. 80 roses.
I saw the photo.
I did too, yeah.
Yes.
Hey, tell me about the evening or early morning, late the 13th, early the 14th of March, in a phone call you placed to Scott Bailey, the president of the Opry Entertainment Group.
Oh, yeah. It was actually an email. I just emailed him the minute I heard we were shutting down for the COVID-19. I'm like, Scott, please tell me you will help us let the show go on somehow, because I did not want to see this historic record go down of the Grand Ole Opry. Has never failed to be on the Opry, on the air, you know.
94 and a half years.
And he was so wonderful. He sent me an email back immediately saying, your email says it all.
And it was you and Bill Anderson and Connie Smith. And
we
who am I leaving
hosted
out?
the three segments, and we had Mandy Barnett was on, Michael Cleveland, Sam Williams, and am I forgetting somebody else? I am somebody else.
We have done so
No,
many
maybe
shows.
not.
Well,
Connie
I think
had Sam, I think, and Bill had Mandy, and I had Michael Cleveland, I
So that
believe.
makes it work.
And then I asked everybody to come back at the end and sing, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? And I had cold chills the whole time we were doing it.
Yeah, you had to tell them that conversation you had with Dan Rogers when you said, "Hey,
Yeah.
this of all nights is a night we do our theme. Will the circle be unbroken?"
Yeah, I said, may I call everybody back? And Dan told me later, he said, I'm so glad you thought of that, because he said, in all of that was going on, which can you believe the pressure that our Opry staff has been under to do this show? And such unique circumstances. But anyway, I said, well, Dan, it's just your job to put the show on the air. It's my job to figure out how to do it. I don't know what I should do by now after, 53 years now it has been?
We got 30 seconds to the break. We'll come back on the other side. But you actually were the first female, a lot of firsts in your life at the Opry, first female to host a segment when Del Reeves got snowed in someplace.
Right.
Isn't that how it came about?
We had a an ice snowstorm, and Debbie Logue was at the Opry then, and she said, "By the way, you're hosting." I'm like, "Why? What?" And she said, "You're the only Opry artist in the building."
The only member who made it.
Right.
That's Jeannie Seely. We'll continue after a break on 650 AM WSM and Circle Television.
This is WSM's Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Jeannie Seely is celebrating with us this morning, and we're so excited she chose to do that. She turns 80. Got a feature article in the Tennessean. Folks all over the world can read that, can follow up on her story. And Matthew Limeculer was he's the one who did the article, a columnist, and he did a great job. I think so, too. You celebrate. Do you know who you celebrate with? Other celebrities who celebrate your birthday?
Ringo Starr, I think, has a birthday.
I don't have him on my list, but in fact, you could be correct. You
did.
know who at the Opry family member has a birthday today?
J.T. Hodges, it does. But who at the...
And Jimmy Schermerhorn.
Jimmy Schermerhorn,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got a call ready for him.
The Dalai Lama is 85. Ned Beatty is 83 today, the great actor. Gene Chandler, who gave us Duke.
Oh, yeah.
Duke. Remember Duke of Earl?
My buddy Justin Trevino out in Texas is birthday today, too.
Batman's Robin, Burt Ward, has a birthday. He is 75. Sylvester Stallone celebrates with you.
Oh, that's right.
George W. Bush, 74, the 43rd president of the United States. And Nancy Griffith.
Oh, wow.
Here in town has a 67th birthday
I
today.
did not realize we share.
And Bill Haley was born on this date, the year WSM and the Grand Ole Opry went on the air, 1925. He passed away in 1981.
For those of you who follow Seely on Facebook, you know her humor. For those who don't, I just was enamored by your so happy on 80 today post.
Yes,
Although we can't quite share that on the television, I don't think. But if you go to the Facebook page.
Just list it down like this and read the opening letters. Yeah. So happy I'm 80.
It starts with S-H-I.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Yes.
Now,
Today.
Eric, can we come in here? Can Joel come in on this? This is truly...
This is great.
This is Jeannie Seely at her finest when I celebrated 40 years in radio. And she came and brought me this.
Yes.
This has
Well, it's in theme with the Facebook post.
and it sits like front and center on my desk at the office. And for those of you who are listening on radio, it is a commode, a miniature commode, but it's like a trophy.
Yes.
And it says Bill Cody, where your name would be engraved. And then at the top it says coffee, country, and crap. And the commode lid is open.
Yep.
There she is at her
That's
finest.
pretty much it. Yeah.
And I'm so happy to be here and add the crap to your show today.
And was the first person to welcome me to town in WSM Radio and the Grand Ole Opry, April the 25th, 1994. The first phone call I got from the Opry family, the WSM family, was Jeannie Seely, followed shortly thereafter by Gene Shepard.
Yes.
Oh, wow. And then Bill
First time
Anderson,
I ever
right?
beat her at anything.
Bill was my first meet in 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're singing. Bill Anderson sprung for lunch. He did. I caught him at a weak moment, I guess.
Oh, gosh,
sure.
yeah. Must have
Now,
been
here's
good,
another first that connects to you, and that's where we're headed next musically. The first person I ever introduced on stage, she came along with Tom T. Hall on a package show to play my hometown in Kentucky, where my father was a pastor and we'd moved there, was Dottie West. First person, big star I ever got to introduce. And I will never forget meeting her and getting to be around her in the band. And Shelley was she's the same age as I am. She was 17 or so at the time, singing with her mom in the band.
Yeah.
And that brings us to this song that she inspired. And didn't Bobby Tomberlin and Steve Wariner figure in?
Yeah. Ron Harmon found these lyrics that Dottie had started, and some of Dottie's stuff. You know, Ron collects all of our stuff. I told him he's going to inherit all my memorabilia, and then after the flood, I just said, you don't have to wait till I die. Here, take it all now, you know. If Ron has it, I know where it is. If I have it, I don't have a clue. So anyway, but he found these lyrics, and so he took it to Steve Wariner and Bobby Tomberlin to finish. And when they did, they called me and said, you have to do this song. There's just no way anybody should do this song. And I remember that the title line, it said, I heard Dottie say so many times when everything was coming down for her. Everybody would say, "How are you doing, Dottie?" And she'd say, "I just go on living, if you could call it that." And it just gave me cold chills when Ron told me about it. And then when I heard the song, I mean, talk about not a dry eye in the house.
Which is the lead single if you missed it earlier.
Well, the thing, too, when I got into the studio to do this, I was so thrilled, and I felt like this, just like I did the night. I was so honored to be asked to sing at the medallion ceremony when she was inducted into the Hall of Fame. All I could think of is, I'm so glad I'm getting to finish what Dottie started. That, you know, she should have been able to finish this and do this walk herself.
How did you girls become such great friends?
Well, the first time I met her, of course, I was a fan back in Pennsylvania when I saw her on the Landmark Jamboree. And when I first met her in California, when I was living out there, and she came to do the Palomino Club, of course, I was front row center, you know, and afterward I went up and met her. By then I could speak.
If you missed the Gene Shepard story earlier, right. She fell mute when she met her hero, Gene Shepard.
But when I told her that I, you know, had been following her since the Landmark Jamboree, Dottie just looked at me and said, "The Landmark Jamboree? I don't know anybody who remembers that."
And where was that? Was that a television show?
Out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we just connected, and we all ended up, it was kind of like the Patsy Louise show all over. We all ended up back at my house in L.A., and picking guitar and singing and talking, and just a friendship that just never ceased. She was just that 3 o'clock, we used to call each other our 3 o'clock in the morning friends, because that's who you could call if you needed to talk or you wanted to share something exciting, you know.
Jeannie Seely, as we remember Dottie West this morning. And thank you to Steve Warner and Bobby Tomberlin. Here we go with If You Could Call It That. From All America, for an American classic from Jeannie Seely.
And Steve singing harmony.
I get up every morning, have my coffee, gather my things, jump right in that same old traffic.
That is Jeannie Seely and her dear friend Dottie West inspired, if you can call it that. But isn't it interesting, as we talk about Dottie's story and the sadness that came with much of that, that song, just by title alone, Go On Living, if you can call it that, for the times in which we live, the time in which we are living,
exactly.
Jeannie, for a lot
and
of people.
let me say right now, I said it off mic, but I am so glad to see you guys. I have been so homesick for the Opry and for my people. I mean, the Opry and everybody is a second family to all of us.
Yeah.
And so I've been quarantined away from you, and I love y'all, and I want everybody, the rest of them listening, I can't wait to see everybody and give everybody a hug.
And if you didn't, make sure you follow up. This will be your homework assignment. Read the Jeannie Seely story that Matthew Limeculer wrote and featured in yesterday's portfolio. Big story on her 80th birthday celebration. The new music, which is, again, what's the release date on the new music?
Of course, the single you can get now,
right.
But then the album release is August 14th.
You heard it here. Pre-order, pre-save, Jeannie's website.
Curb Records.
An American classic on Curb.
Thanks for listening to our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Our program director at WSM Radio is J. Patrick Tittle. Our digital producer is Haley Hall. Marketing and promotions director is Amanda Cannon. And I'm Charlie Matos. If you like what you've heard, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review on iTunes. It really does help new people find the show.